former top government officials discuss U.S. security issues concerning Iran. We'll hear from former CIA Director James Woolsey, former FBI Director Louis Freeh, and former Homeland Security Secretary Tom Ridge, plus former National Security Advisor to President Obama, General James Jones. They talk about the Iranian group MEK, which advocates the overthrow of the Iranian government. A number of members of Congress have asked the Obama administration to take MEK off the State Department's terrorist list.
Let us begin our discussion. For our first speaker today, it is my great privilege to introduce the 81st Attorney General of the United States, Attorney General Michael Mukasey.
Quite simply, MEK is an organization of Iranians, both inside Iran and outside Iran, that opposes the current regime, favors government in Iran that is organized along democratic, secular, non-nuclear lines, a democratic, secular, non-nuclear republic. And I should add, this is not one of the few organizations of Iranians that fits that description. It is, in point of fact, the only one. It's clear that the Iranian regime believes that time is short, and it would like nothing better than to have the residents of Camp Ashraf driven out before MEK succeeds in being removed from a list that it should never have been on in the first place. Why is this timing so crucial? Because if the residents of Camp Ashraf are still there when the designation is removed, then the United States and the Iraqi government will have no choice but to protect them. The designation gives those in the Iraqi government who want to curry favor with the Iranian regime their only excuse for not protecting the residents of Camp Ashraf. It's important not only that the designation be removed, but also that it be removed quickly, before Iran and those acting in its behalf can wear down the residents of Ashraf and force them to leave or impose an even worse fate on them.
Here are the three areas where I think, at least my views, coincide with all of you. Secondly, with the MEK, yeah, I think it makes sense to take them off the terrorism list. And the third is the Camp Ashraf situation. Obviously, we've got to find ways to protect those Iranians that are there. I think it's inexcusable that we're not doing it. Talk about having leverage with the government of Iraq. We do have it. And so we should find ways to make that happen.
I'm honored to be on a panel like this. And I know you all realize you're seeing not only the bipartisanship that was mentioned, but you're seeing leadership from our Congress, administrations past and present, from our military, and from our intelligence agencies and law enforcement. So you have an entire spectrum here that feels the same way. I think what you're going to hear up here is a continuous set of comments, much like you've heard already. The need to remove the MEK from this list of terrorists, the need to support the opposition groups and understand who they are.
Now, with regard to Iran, there are three very dangerous consequences with regard to the path that it is on. The first one, of course, is that it becomes nuclear weapons capable. That has a geometry all unto its own. We tried for years to prevent North Korea from becoming nuclear weapons capable. We are, as a matter of policy, bent on making sure that Iran does not achieve the same thing. The second reason, and the second danger that eventuality would pose, if in fact it does happen, is the fact that it would trigger a nuclear arms race in the Persian Gulf. And that is also fairly certain, a fairly certain outcropping of that first eventuality. And the third one, and the one, frankly, that as National Security Advisor worries me even more than the first two, is that Iran, as a state sponsor of terrorism, could easily be seen to be the type of country that would export that kind of technology, weapons of mass destruction, to terrorist organizations. And when and if that happens, ladies and gentlemen, the world as we know it today will change. I know of no time in the past 15 or 20 years when this country, where the Arab world and the Europeans have been as united as they are on this particular issue. The willingness to continue to go down this road without any tangible results eventually means that sooner or later the world will conclude, and we will conclude as a nation, that Iran has defined itself, and we will have to proceed with what we must do in order to achieve the successful goals that have been articulated.
One thing we should no longer do, and in this I join the others on this panel, is keep the MEK listed as a terrorist organization. In 22 years of practicing law, I read a lot of legal decisions, and I recently read the Circuit Court's decision in the case involving the MEK versus the State Department. And my experience, and I think that of most lawyers who are interested in international matters, is that courts ordinarily give a great deal of deference to the executive branch with respect to the conduct of foreign policy. This eloquently and well-written decision of last July by the D.C. Circuit effectively says quite bluntly, although it doesn't use this particular analogy, that what the Department of State has done is what the Red Queen does in Alice in Wonderland when she is asked if first we're going to have the trial and the verdict and then the execution. She says, oh, no, no, execution first, then trial.
Whether or not you believe that we have 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or more before Iran will be in a position to acquire nuclear weapons, there is still no reason to be shy about doing more to support the Iranian opposition. A good first step would be delisting the MEK. And third, we need to promote free access to the Internet and the free flow of information from outside Iran and especially within Iran. And I'm talking about Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, and all the other technologies that Jim Woolsey mentioned earlier. We've all seen the impact that these technologies can have when they're aligned with the forces of freedom. My sense is that many Iranians want to be part of the international community. They want to be integrated more closely into the economic dynamism of the region, and they want to become full members of the 21st century. We need to do more to help them.
We say time and time again, both publicly and privately, the resistance and the MEK, they're not looking for money. They're not looking for arms. They just want the freedom to speak. They want to be delisted and take action into their own hands. We need to do that for them because time is running out. So we say to all those in the State Department involved in making the decision in this administration, it's about time. The lessons of history and the pleas of these mothers and wives should be listened to now. Delist the MEK and let them take the voices of freedom to the street and do what they need to do to bring freedom and democracy in the kind of Iran that would live in harmony and in peaceful coexistence with its neighbors in the region and the rest of the world.
When Khobar Towers occurred, the President of the United States, appropriately so, from the Oval Office, said that this attack against the United States would not go unpunished and no stone would be left unturned to bring the perpetrators to justice. So our charge was to conduct an investigation. Our first note was, do you want us to conduct a criminal investigation because that may interfere with whatever other policy decisions you may or may not make? The answer was no. Conduct the investigation. So on and on the investigation went, and we reached the point after a very difficult period of time within the administration in the United States, not on the crime scene side, where we got substantial evidence that this attack was committed by the IRGC through the local Hezbollah office, which was exactly what happened in the Marine barracks in 1983. And the permission that we finally received by the Saudi government to interview the detainees was really the result of us using channels outside of the government and outside of the administration, because we could not get any assistance within the administration with respect to making the request. And the reason was simple. They did not want to confront the fact and the reality that the Iranian government had murdered 19 Americans and blown up Khobar Towers. And as investigators, we accepted that. That's a foreign policy matter which goes way beyond our jurisdiction and our pay grade. So we would go back repeatedly and say, do you want us to stop conducting the investigation? And the answer would always be, no, we want you to conduct a vigorous investigation, find all the evidence, and charge whoever can be charged. And this is the confusion and an anecdotal but historical example of the confusion of that policy, which in many respects continues today through a new administration with regard to the MEK listing, with regard to Camp Ashraf, and with regard to this lack of clarity and lack of purpose in terms of achieving what are very basic objectives here.